Hey, it's Thursday, November 30th. We're going to read a poem in just a moment. We're going to talk about the homework, and there is a quiz tomorrow. Quiz tomorrow I'm looking at should be 15 questions. I don't think it's going to be very tough. It's the same thing we've been practicing all week. This is going to involve you reading a thing, telling me is it simile, metaphor, or nothing, figuring out what things are being compared. You're going to have to read a short poem and then find a simile and metaphor in it and stuff like that. So I think as long as you know similes and metaphors, paid attention this week, you get to use your notes, you should probably be fine. I'm not super worried. I'm hoping that the average grade's like an A- on this one, and it shouldn't be too painful. Crawford.
Is it 2 attempts as always?
2 attempts again. Yeah, again, after conversations yesterday, I don't think this applies to most kids. Almost every class seemed to be shocked that it was even a possibility. Kids seem to have some idea that IXL cheating happens, but beyond that, so I'm hoping it's not a major thing. I am not looking at the IXLs until this weekend, so I am not going to go through and check, partly because I know if I do, it's going to put me in a grumpy mood, and I'm going to save that for this weekend, as opposed to being grumpy before dealing with kids. So, questions with it, because if not, I'm going to move on and just assume that we're all good people. Callie?
Wouldn't you be grumpy around your kids, though?
Yeah, but they're used to it. Plus, when I get done being grumpy at home, I can then take a break and play video games and go shoot people, and that makes me feel better. Here, I can't do that. I can just yell at kids, and that's probably not quite as healthy. Picky!
We have more IXL.
Well, when you go back and watch the videos, you'll understand. Okay. Then, I had kids who kept being confused on the homework and how to submit the homework, so I went back and redid it and put giant words that say, use the button, submit your homework, because kids seem to be confused about how to submit the homework. So again, giant button that says submit it, you just go right on there and go typey, and you should be good to go from there. Questions on your end before I answer some things of mine?
Just mine. It's like Saw 10. It's horrifying.
So, looking through ones that have been turned in already, I figured I should probably try and help you out a wee bit. So a couple things. Well, one, yes, if after I talk about this, you need to resubmit yours, that's fine. You're more than welcome to. I will grade the newest one if you realize mistakes have been made. One, do not reuse a simile and turn it into a metaphor. So you have to have 6 different comparisons. You cannot say, the man is like a 2000 basketball player, and then go, the man is a 2000s basketball player, and then go, ha ha ha. That's not going to work. It means I give you credit for one and a 0 for the other. So you have to have 6 different comparisons as you go through. Also, if you give me short and weak comparisons, I give you a short and weak grade. If you give me C and D level stuff, I give you a C or a D for your work. So if you give me something like, the fish is an orange, and then the fish is like an elephant, that's crap. That's not very good at all. You're not giving me hardly any information. That's very, very generic. So if you do those, you are correct. That is a simile and that is a metaphor. And they are god-awful. So I will probably give you like a D for that. What I'm looking for is information, like, the fish is a giant sun in the man's hands. Ooh, pretty. Or the fish is like a hippo floating in the air. Ooh, nip. So something where you are giving me more information in there. If you give me bad stuff, I give you bad grade. If you give me good stuff, I give you good grade. And then, there's not many directions, but we're far enough into the year now where if you submit the homework and do not follow one of the directions, I just give you a 0 and say you have to redo it for a late grade. Because if you can't follow 3 directions, and yes, kids turning in already have already not followed these 3 directions, so I figured I would reiterate them. You have to tell me the picture number so I know what picture you're describing. You have to label which ones are similes, which ones are metaphors, and then you have to number them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's not even a lot of directions, which is why I don't feel bad giving you a 0 if you cannot follow them. Irene?
Like, for those examples that you did, what if I already used one of them? Like planned on using one of them?
What? Have you already written it and turned it in?
No.
Problem solved. Now I've already turned it, so you can't do it. If you'd already turned it in, you would have been good. Yeah.
So, for label them simile or metaphor, can you just put S1?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as I can tell the difference.
I did 1 through 6. Does that matter? Like 1 through 6, I'm gonna put metaphor, 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 and then simulation.
I should be fine. As long as you've labeled them separately and I can figure it out, I should be okay with that. Crawford?
How do we know the number for each picture again?
It says it on the...
Oh, okay. Thank you. I forgot.
Anything else I can help with? Yay! Okay. Then, let's go to new learning stuff. And now's the part where I have to make you put iPad away so we can do learning
But then it's
stuff.
not gonna.
If you're finishing that one sentence, I'll give, or simile or metaphor, I'll give you like 10 seconds, and then I get to come at you with the big scary stuff. Looking on paper, we are now moving to the section right below your name. But I'm going to tell you, I made a mistake. I forgot to put one of our words on there that I thought I did, and I made an oopsie. So we're going to have to add one on there. So you can either like add it below refrain, or you can add it up to this top area, or you can add it here. But it's one of the words we're going to do here in a second. And when I was looking at the paper, I was like, oh, Brovicast, you big dum-dum. And I realized I had forgotten the thing. So we're going to start with stanza. Do you guys know what a stanza is? What's a stanza?
I don't know.
Like a paragraph in a poem.
Paragraph.
That's what I'm looking for. Paragraph in a poem. Don't you shake your head.
Yeah, that's.
So it's more than just a, I mean, it can be just a line, and we're going to look at a poem in just a second that has a one-line stanza, but typically it's more like a paragraph in a poem. And we're going to need to know how to separate one stanza from the next. Normally, when we write a story and we have paragraphs, how do you know when one paragraph ends and the next begins? Yeah, you use indenting. If you look on this poetry thing there, is there any indenting in our poems?
Yeah.
Just like one of them, but most of them, none. So how do you know where one stanza ends and the next begins if there's no indenting? That's what I'm looking for. So know that there is a big space that separates one stanza from the next stanza. So separated by a space. And we're going to practice our stanza counting here in just a moment, which I'm sure is going to be super challenging. Matei.
I'm gonna have math next week. That's not what I'm supposed to do in this one.
Well, I have faith in you. I will let you use fingers and toes for this counting, unlike those math teachers. So you can use all 12 of your fingers. Then, this is the word you're going to have to write in. I forgot to put the word speaker on there. So, it's not a long definition, but I figured I had forgotten to put it there. This was me being big dum-dum. I apologize. Do you guys know who the poet of a poem is? It's like the person who writes it. A speaker is not the person who writes it. A speaker is not the person who says it. A speaker is the narrator. It's going to be the character in the poem talking to us. So if you just want to think of the speaker as the narrator, that's great. Not wherever you want to. I forgot to put it on there, so you just have to make a spot. Not every poem has a speaker. Actually, a lot of poems don't have speakers. A lot of poems are what I call fluffy cloud poems. But I'm not a fluffy cloud poem person, where they're just like, there are clouds floating in the sky with little birds flapping in the wind and trees blowing back and forth. Yeah, that's not the kind of poems I do. I typically like to do poems with a character talking to us because I find them more interesting. So just know that the speaker is a character talking to you in the poem. Most of our poems are going to have a character talking to us. Not all of them, but most of them. Now, we've got that part, so we're good. Let's practice looking at stanzas real quick. Matei?
The poem and Outsiders, the one with Stable, did that one have a speaker?
No, that was a fluffy cloud poem. I had to go through and think about it.
But you liked it.
I did. Mostly because it was depressing. And most fluffy cloud poems are not depressing. So looking at this poem, let's start off. Hold up fingers. How many stanzas in this poem? Good job. We have a ha-cha, space, ha-cha. All right, we're now going to expand this poem.
What are you guys yapping about?
You
do not know how to count. It's 6.
It's 5, bro.
No, it's 5 spaces, 6 paragraphs.
So how many stanzas are there?
Oh, 6 Reed, you're so slow.
I have 6 fingers though.
So again, you have 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, 5. So easy. All right. Let's go to the toughest poem I can possibly give you.
Oh
If
no.
you can figure out this one, you should be strong. So on this one, it is figure-outable. That seems like a word. And then when you feel strong, you can hold up that one. Okay. Just try and figure out some of your numbers.
I think 9.
Like
It has space between words, but it doesn't have space between between pyramids.
Ah, all right. So I'm looking like I'm seeing 8s and 9s and
23.
and a 23.
That's what I think.
So let's go through and see. We have 1
2.
space, 2
Oh,
space,
okay.
3 space, 4 space, 5 space, 6 space, 7 space, 8 space. This one is considered a stanza all by itself.
Is that an
Weird
actual
as
poem?
it
Or
may
you make? Is that an actual poem?
be. It is. It's one that I make my regular kids read because they first look at it and their brains melt, and then after you read it, it's super easy. So it's a fun poem to freak out because it looks like it's tough, but then when you actually read it, it's tough. And then when I explain it, it becomes super easy. And so I like to freak kids out because they're like, "I'll never understand it." And then 30 minutes later, they're like, "Oh my God, that was easy." And I'm like, "Uh-huh, that's how learning works." Speaking of learning, back to you guys. Let's do learning stuff.
Yay!
You sound like a news guy.
Back to you.
I tried. Back to you, Mr. Brovia. Thanks, Mr. Brovia. So for you guys, it should be over on the right-hand side.
I'm Nikki.
Where it says, one of the 7 has somewhat to say. How many stanzas do we have? 2.
25?
Up there to the one. Up there to the one. No, but no, when you click
Oh,
it.
here, correct.
Yeah, one.
As I'm just showing you the first stanza. So with poetry, unlike with short stories, I have you guys get to read these because they're shorter, and I don't make anybody read. If you don't want to read, I'm happy to read. But because they're shorter, and sometimes you guys like to move your mouths also, I like to give you opportunity to read also. So on this one, we're going to need 2 different people to read because we have stanza 1 and we have stanza 2.
My name is Reed.
Jojo, you think your mouth likes to move? That's a shocker. Sure, Jojo, we'll give you stanza number 1. We'll go girl person, stanza
Literally,
number 2.
my name is Reed.
It is. It's a good thing we have a lot more poems to read coming up that we're going to get to.
I thought you didn't like to read.
On this one, here's what this one has a definite speaker. And the speaker in this poem, for most of you, is a person or character that you know.
I know it.
So if you figure it out, don't tell us. You're going to keep it a secret, and we're going to help other kids figure it out. And some of you may have a moment while we read it where this happens. And you're going to get all excited because all of a sudden the learning particles are going to activate inside of your head, and you're going to suddenly, everything makes sense. For others of you, we're going to finish the poem, and you're going to go, eh? And there's no learning particles. And we're going to help sprinkle learning particles on you. For first stanza that Jojo is going to read, here's what I want you to look for. For our speaker, find me evidence of the gender. Is the speaker a dude or a chick? Then find me... You can grab it right there. Then find me evidence also of the speaker's job. What is it the speaker does for a living? And then 3, find me evidence of what the speaker looks like. Because those are going to be the 3 questions I ask. Male or female, what was their job, and give me evidence to prove it. What do they look like, evidence to prove it. And then we're going to break down the poem from there. That's kind of how I do poetry. A lot like how I did short stories. It's just a really, 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 really short story. Hi, Reed.
Were you Zach Elliott?
Elliot. Roar. Okay. Ready, Jojo? Go for it.
That's really scary.
Shut up, Elliot. I mean, shut up, Jojo.
He gets confused on sometimes who people are. He hit his head as a child. Go ahead, Jojo.
Remember how it was before she came? The picks and shovels dropped beside the door. The sink piled high. The meals any old time. Our jackets, where we flung them on the floor. The mud trapped in, the clutter on the shelves. None of us shaved or more than halfway clean. Just 7 old bachelors living by ourselves. Those were the days, if you know what I mean.
Nice done, Jojo. Well done. I've also learned that repetition helps with poetry because sometimes it can be a little confusing. So I'm going to read it after Jojo, and I'll go through it, and this sometimes makes things click a little better, and then I get to ask questions. Partly, I think it's also repetition, although I am a professional readist. Not as professional as read, but you know, it all works out. Remember how it was before she came? Picks and shovels dropped beside the door, the sink piled high, the meals any old time, our jackets where we'd flung them on the floor, the mud tracked in, the clutter on the shelves, none of us shaved or more than halfway clean, just 7 old bachelors living by ourselves. Those were the days, if you know what I mean.
My turn.
First, show of hands, how many of you feel strong you know who speaker is? All right, don't say anything yet, and we'll see.
Cinderella.
In theory, you should be able to give us guiding to help us. All right, first off,
Oh, I know.
speaker, male or female?
Male.
Give me evidence.
Shave.
Now,
And
here's the issue.
bachelors.
So one, the shaved issue, people bring up all the time, but if you're unaware, girls
Females also
shave also.
Yeah.
And I had a kid say earlier, well, it says halfway clean. I have a daughter. I've seen her room. It puts most pigsties to shame. So because of that,
This is what she's
apparently being clean is not necessarily a girl thing,
It's
and
bachelor.
shaving doesn't necessarily connect.
Oh,
So
I know. I know
those
what
would
it-
not
I know
be
what it
good
is.
clues one way or the other. Jojo,
It's bachelors.
what's a bachelor?
It's a
A
male.
male.
Close.
It's a male.
As an example,
That's not married.
like Felipe is a bachelor. I'm not a bachelor.
Am I a bachelor?
Because you're married.
You're probably a bachelor.
I'm
'Cause
also
you're married.
bachelor.
Correct. So
A
what's a
married-
bachelor?
A married
married
person. Man.
So that'd be the difference. An unmarried man. Oh, for those of you who like to watch your reality TV, what is an unmarried woman?
Bachelorette. Oh my gosh.
My
So-
mom watches all those shows.
That's what's going to help us out. Our speaker
Isn't that a
is a
widow?
bachelor. Is it what a
No,
a
I
bachelorette
already know
is?
what when you're married and then your husband's out.
This is a frat house.
That's a widow.
Yeah,
So
we're
a
all
widow is when you, and a widower is when you're a dude and your wife.
This
dies.
this is a frat house then.
Well, that's just a bachelor. So with our bachelor, does he live by himself?
No.
How
7
many?
dudes.
Six.
Six of them.
Six.
No,
No,
six.
six.
How many?
7 dudes. Oh my
Hang on.
goodness.
How many roommates does he have?
Six.
There you go. So him living with 6 other guys in this house, and with his looks, evidence as to how he looks.
Halfway
He has a beard.
shaved. Bad.
How do we know he has a beard?
Because he doesn't shave.
Nicely done. So it talks about him not having shaved.
I know
so
what it is.
no shaving means
He has a beard.
he has a
I know what
beard.
it is.
So beard, and then also
Dirty. It says he's half dirty.
and he was also going to be. We'll come back to the dirty in just a
think
minute.
it's sin.
Yes, is definitely covered in dirt. Let's jump to job.
He's a minor. He's a minor.
Where's your evidence?
He's a bachelor. Bachelors are minors.
So there you go. Picks and shovels. So definitely minor could work. Anything else that picks and shovels?
it is.
Anything else that?
Idea.
I know who it is. Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it?
Your points. If you want to lose them, that's fine. Matei already spent his points saying it.
Wait, I didn't say it. I just want idea,
No, before that, when your mouth moved and you started to say.
but I didn't finish it.
So, what else, job-wise, could the picks and shovels go to? Yeah,
Grave digger.
absolutely. That's
A gold digger.
frightening. I have kids say grave digger every year, but yes, grave digger could work. And then stuff like
Grave robber.
or grave robber,
Maid.
if that's the direction we want
A
to
maid.
go. Jojo,
A coal miner.
sure. Another type of miner.
A maid.
He's got it, bro.
Oh, an actual miner.
He can sweep the
He's a bachelor. Who is
Are
it?
you
Slave.
talking about the rape?
Yes.
Are you
Someone in your house needs to explain the difference between a broom and a rape, but that's okay.
Wait. Oh, they are slaves.
A murderer.
Oh, they're slaves. They're slaves.
Right, Aiden?
Gardner.
Gardner, I would take. So, by the way, the reason I ask these questions, this is the kind of stuff I put on a quiz. I will give you poem and then say, find me evidence to prove job in poem. So that's why I'm having you go through and find. Even if you have no idea who the speaker is yet, like what these kids talking about, you should still be able to find evidence to what the job is. Then next up, evidence as to how the house is kept.
It's clean.
Bad.
It's horrible.
How do we know it's bad?
Because they're
Exactly.
clean.
Exactly.
The sink is piled high.
There you go, sink is piled high.
Yo, is that your
What
mom?
else we have? What was that?
Meals meals at any time.
The fact they get to eat their Pop-Tarts whenever they want to, because I'm assuming it's 7 dudes living together, they're not cooking meals.
And
they're
then the
probably
jackets
eating
were on
Pop-Tarts and
How
leftover
many points
cheeses.
do I spend? Wait, how many points do I spend if I say it?
Well, you've already spent the 3 because you keep yelling out loud as I'm trying to. Wait, don't look shocked.
No, everyone else is too.
Oh, that's true.
But asking a question.
Yeah, no, did I call on you?
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you. Oh, back up. Not to just attack Reed. It's been a while since I've done like actual teachy bits with you because we had to read the book for a long time, and I know it's going to take a little bit for your brains to reset, Reed, just to get to yell at me all the time. So I'm not attacking you completely. You're not the only one talking out loud. I agree. No, I didn't charge you the points. I just need you not to yell at me the whole time asking about how can I lose points. Welcome back to learning. Don't make me be all attacky at you. Matei,
They also said that the jackets were
I would take that. We're going to come back to the fact that they throw jackets everywhere. By the way, the jacket should also help you with the job, because what does that tell you about the job?
It's called
There you go. Nicely done. A big thing I do with poems is you have to find evidence. So I'm going to keep pushing you to find evidence. Read.
I know how it's not clear. It says we flung them on the floor, which means they're not neat.
Nicely done, because that's going to pop up in second stanza. Jojo,
I know what job they do.
Yeah, I know.
we just talked about that.
No, but like now I have like an exact job.
And there's something that is upsetting our speaker. What makes our speaker upset?
They're poor.
She can't.
The girl.
She can't.
Some girl shows up. So you have 7 dudes hanging out, living together. Some girl shows up, and that's what ends up making them really grumpy. And then who was reading my next one was?
Reed.
Callie, right? It was Callie.
It was Callie.
Ready, Callie?
I thought it was Reed.
Go for it, Callie.
She scrubs, she sweeps, she even dusts the ceiling. She made us build a tool shed for our stuff. Dinner's at 8, the table setting's formal, and if I weren't afraid I'd hurt her feelings, I'd move. Until we get her married off, and things can gradually slip back to normal.
Nicely done. So again, we're going to find out what it is girls doing to make them upset now. She scrubs, she sweeps, she even dusts the ceilings. She's made us build a tool shed for our stuff. Dinner's at 8, the table setting's formal. If I weren't afraid I'd hurt her feelings, I'd move until we get her married off and things can gradually slip back to normal. So what is it girl does that makes them so unhappy?
She cleans.
She cleans. Specifically, examples of what is it she does from when they were happy to now being unhappy. No, read.
She dusts the ceiling.
So one, they got to be messy everywhere, and she's now dusting the ceiling, which seems a little
That's a
extreme.
clue. That's a clue. That's a clue.
It is a clue.
I know.
You are
Can I
correct.
say what that means?
Kyle?
I know what it is.
Building a tool shed for their stuff.
No longer can just come home with your pickaxe and just smack it into the wall and leave it there. Now you have to actually put them into a tool shed. Felipe,
Didn't use at a certain time.
no longer just get to open your Pop-Tarts and your leftover Cheez-Its. You have to actually make dinner and have it at a certain time. Matei
Can I say the clue about?
and Reed. Oh, about the cleaning?
Yeah.
Well, not about the dusting of the ceiling yet. We're going to get there.
Okay, can I say that later?
Yeah, when we get there.
Okay.
Callie?
They had to dress formal for dinner.
Now we cannot just come in there in our overalls. We're going to have to dress formally. So, how many of you guys now feel you know who the speaker is? So, for those of you who think you figured it out, who is the speaker in the poem?
Grumpy.
Grumpy from the 7
How do
Dwarfs.
you know it's grumpy?
Because he's
Because
not.
he's
That's what we're going to get to.
I have to know that there's Cinderella and there's 7 dwarfs. And one of them's
So then, who is the girl that makes them unhappy?
Snow White.
There you go. Now, knowing that it's actually grumpy, that's the thing we're going to talk about on Monday, and we're going to go through and find the evidence that points towards that. But that's it for today. We're done.
That's why she died.
Wait, can I read this one time? She scrubs, she sleeps, and even dusts the ceiling.
It's because she's tall. That's why she can. She has the belt by ring.
See you tomorrow. Well, some of you.